Mr. Hackett?
The meeting of the Nassau County School Board is a public meeting. Citizens are welcome to comment on agenda items during the meeting. Citizens wishing to comment on matters which are not on the official agenda should fill out the sign-up sheet maintained in the back of the room, indicating the speaker's name, address, and topic to be discussed. A limit of 3 minutes applies to public comment unless extended by the vote of the board. The public is reminded that any request to have an item placed on the board's agenda must first be submitted to the superintendent. Our guests are also reminded that any request for the board to consider disciplinary action against a school district employee or any presentation of factual complaints against a district employee will be considered out of order and cannot be heard by the board without first having a recommendation for disciplinary action again from the superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hackett. Board members, did you receive your agenda and addendum?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Do we have any changes this evening?
Madam Chairman, I do have
Dr.
a
Roos?
couple of changes. If you will look at on the personnel agenda
Yes, sir.
on pages 2 and 4, I would like to remove the items. First one at the bottom of page 2, the contracted service position agreement between Nassau County School District and Dr. Catherine H. Drew. And also at the top of page 3, the contracted services position agreement between the Nassau County School District and Florida Psychological Associates, LLC. The reason for that is a transition from one fiscal year to another, and after consultation with our attorney, I think that's in the best interest of the board at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Roos. So noted. Dr. Burns?
I would like to remove from the reappointment list, Director of Exceptional Student Education, make that a separate action item.
And then we're going to try to hear.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Director of Exceptional Student Education, and make that a separate action item.
So that's on page 4 of the recommendations, and that will become action item 5B. Any other changes this evening?
Yes, Madam Chairman.
Mr. Jones?
May I add for discussion, for the discussion item A, board docs software, please?
Yeah. No. Yes.
Thank you.
No, get out of it.
Board docs.
Board docs. Yes, Mr. Jonas, thank you. Any other changes this evening? So we have, from the superintendent's recommendations, we have deleted number 3, contracted services position agreement, and contracted services position agreement, both for Florida Psychological Associates and for Dr. Catherine Drew. We have moved from the consent agenda the reappointment of the Director of Exceptional Student Education and made that action item 5B. And we have added for discussion item 6A, board docs. Dr. Rubis.
Madam Chairman, I would recommend adoption of the agenda as amended.
Do I have a motion?
Motion made.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Dr. Rose, we'll move to the consent agenda, please.
Madam Chairman, I would recommend and request approval of the consent agenda as adopted.
Do I have a motion?
So moved with question.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Question?
All right, before I take the board's questions, I will acknowledge, Mr. Slay, I was going to have you come and speak on your item, but since that item has been removed, I'll move you to public presentations. So you're still welcome to talk to the board, but it'll be later.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Okay, Gail, excuse me, Ms. Cook, did you say you had a question?
I do. This is for Ms. Gregory. It's on the IDEA. And these are kind of specific questions, and I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer them. I tried to find time to call, and I just didn't. But when we are talking, and I don't, since these pages aren't really numbered, it's really the first page of account title and description.
Okay.
And it's aides. These aides are either assigned to a specific ESE student or to an ESE classroom. Out of the 27 aides that this is funding, how many of those are one-on-one?
This year, I believe, sorry. This year, oh, there we go. This year, I believe we had 4 in the current year.
Okay, and when we have an IEP that is developed and calls for a one-on-one, then that may add to these 27, but it still has to come out of this budget, or
Yes,
can you
ma'am.
amend the
Yes,
budget?
ma'am, and we always add additional funds to that area because in years we do grow. Yes, ma'am. So that 500,099 is actually includes additional monies. So if we have additional needs, that's where we would take it out of.
Okay, so that's what it's for.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My next question is on the pre-K. Do we only have one pre-K program?
No, ma'am. Right now we have 8 pre-K. We're adding a 3rd one to Yearly Primary, so we'll have 9. But for funding purposes, we only are funding through the pre-K grant 1 at this time because they earn their allocations through Dr. Ruiz's allocation process.
Through the FTE, they are an FTE.
Oh,
So this is an additional position.
Okay. That's my question.
Mr. Dionis, did you say you had a question?
Just for clarification, under tab 2, Fronting New Beach High School requests approval for use of private vehicles. And Dr. Lewis, maybe you can answer that. Is it because they're doing, or they're moving, or driving rather, during their assigned times in their personal vehicles? Is that?
No, basically, what the difficulty, because there are so many extracurricular activities that we're trying to get kids to,
Yes, sir.
and there are so few bus drivers. We've got plenty of buses, but we have few drivers. Then that gets into some contractual things with NESPA as well, which will take a long time. I'll talk to you sometime if you want to come by, we'll discuss that. But what this is not the students driving their private vehicles.
Okay.
It's not that. But it allows adults, parents, coaches, other adults to drive private vehicles to transport these students to these extracurricular activities and functions.
Okay.
And there's they have to in order to do that, every person has to fill out information with regard to their vehicle, with regard to their insurance information, so on and so forth, and that's been in place for quite some time. So that's what that's about.
That was my question. I was just curious if it
Yeah.
was students that were driving or if it
No.
was the coaches and.
It would be a coach or a parent or an adult in the supervisory position that would be driving.
Very well. Thank you very much.
Dr. Burns?
And Dr. Rose, to follow up on that, do they still require the additional insurance coverage?
I don't think there's any additional insurance coverage for it. It's just, we just need their insurance information from their vehicular insurance that they have, and we don't require any additional insurance from them. You may be thinking about the certificate of insurance perhaps for facilities use.
That's it.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments on the consent agenda this evening? So I have a motion and a second to accept. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We move to our action items. Dr. Ruiz, action item 5A, please.
Yes, ma'am. I would recommend and request approval of change order number 1. It's a deducted change order in the amount of $401,352.09 for sales tax purposes for 3 primary skills labs, 1 pre-K ESE classroom, group toilets, and related site work for Emma Hardy Elementary. And you may recall, or I know you've seen it in the consent agenda, we had some of those deducted change orders reconciliation, but they were for a far lesser amount than this. And these are monies that would, that we would retain in the district. We don't have to pay the sales tax. We purchase the materials for the contractor, and we recoup the sales tax savings from that.
Do I have a motion?
Motion made.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Dr. Russo, off the top of your head, do you recall how long we've been doing this?
Somebody asked that not too long ago.
Okay, okay.
Kevin and I looked at each other and we were trying to remember. Kevin's been our facilities director for 10, 11 years maybe. And we were doing it prior to that when Mr. McConnell was still facilities director. So I'd say 12 to 15 years probably.
Be interesting to know how much money has been saved.
Yeah, it's been considerable.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Dr. Russo, action item 5B, please.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, I would recommend Pauline Gregory as Director of Exceptional Student Education for the 2016-17 school year.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Dr. Burns?
And I made this a separate item because I've had several concerns in this area. I'd be happy to share those with you all if you'd like to hear them. I know, if you want to share some information.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I spoke with Dr. Burns earlier, and she had some concerns with the reappointment or the appointment of Ms. Gregory as the ESE director. And as I told this board before, the superintendent's recommendations with regards to these positions are awarded great deference. Nevertheless, the board can challenge the superintendent's recommendation if it can establish good cause as to why this particular person should not be appointed. Now the question is, what constitutes good cause? It's very factually driven, and what constitutes good cause really comes down to a case-by-case basis, and there's hundreds, thousands of pages of case law in which certain circumstances constitute good cause and certain circumstances do not constitute good cause. But again, the only thing I want to inform the board, once again, is that the superintendent's recommendations are indeed awarding great deference. With that being said, I'll let Dr. Burns proceed.
And it's fine for us to allow Dr. Burns to voice her concerns?
Oh, absolutely. It has to be done in the public and it has to be done in the sunshine. So if she does have any concerns, I advise that this would be the form in which it needs to be voiced.
Thank you. Dr. Burns?
And these are just some concerns that I've had over quite some time. And we've had some discussion in the last few meetings about something related to ESE, but I'll just go through a few of these for you. And I shared this a couple of meetings ago about we're reactive instead of proactive when it comes to services for our students in this program, supporting the ESE teachers and ensuring that they have the support and the guidance of the ESE director, inclusion programs that were maybe going great, and all of a sudden shut down, with very little explanation. And we had an issue earlier this year about the catheterizing, whether that should or should not be done, but the leadership, I think, that should be taken in that. And those are just a few of the items. I'd be happy to give more, but that's enough for you. But these are my concerns.
Any other questions or comments? We have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
The motion carries. We'll move to discussion items. Discussion item A, board docs. Mr. Yamas?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I've had some opportunities since our training session 2 days ago. That is some program that we have. And for those of you who don't know, we've got a brand new software program that we'll be using here called Board Docs. And it's fabulous, but it's got a lot of moving parts to it.
So the first few
Yeah.
meetings are going to be a little slow.
Well, I'm
Just
just
letting
glad
y'all know.
that we've got really good IT persons that sit in the back and to the far right of me that can answer those questions. I just wanted to throw this out. This reminds me a lot of the software that I purchased for my own company, and I've sent 1 or 2 people to training. They come back. They have a perspective that I would not have had on certain aspects and certain functionality of programs that we utilized, and it's really too fast because their conference is coming up in September. I would really like to have had several months to play with this. I don't know if I'm the only one sitting here that thinks that perhaps a board as a group going to this conference in Atlanta would benefit us. I'm just putting it out for discussions. Again, I might have a completely different perspective in 60 days, but the timeframes are pretty narrowly defined, and it's a yearly, I did call them, by the way, it is a yearly, and they were very fast to respond.
Good.
So, I look at this and I think, we're going to be utilizing this program and relying on it heavily while we're sitting up here. I would just assume know everything that it does. Perhaps Robin and Connie will be able to, kind of help us along with that. But our little hour-and-a-half workshop, I think it got us enough to where we know how to log into it. We can take a few notes. We know what the little icons mean now, but it's got a lot of stuff that I would love to be able to take full advantage of what we purchased. So no reason for votes, or I just wanted to put it up for discussion. But
I would agree that I think that the conference that is at no cost would be a good place for all of us to go for some training, and that could be part of our board training as well. But that being said, what as a board have to consider is that conference in September falls on board meeting night.
it does, that's right.
So we will have to discuss this further and make a decision in enough time to public record and make sure people know that we will be holding that board meeting.
And again, it's close timelines, I get that. I mean, in a perfect world, it would be 6 months away, so we could have a few months to delve into it before we start traveling to Atlanta, but.
This is our last meeting without using board
Yes.
docs. Yeah.
So we'll have a crash course in just a few weeks. But at any rate, just wanted to bring that up and voice my thoughts. Thank you very much.
I think it warrants further conversation.
Make a comment, Madam Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I mentioned to Robin today when we were talking about the board docs a little bit. We're gonna have to have a trial run at our next meeting, and there'll be some bugs to work out, and